You've probably eaten at McDonald's before, but have you ever stopped to wonder how much that restaurant actually makes? And how much the owner takes home? Here's the short version. A busy McDonald's can bring in about $3 million a year in sales, but the person who owns that store usually keeps around $150,000 of that a year. That's a solid income, but it's a tiny slice of $3 million. And here's the wild part. The reason the slice is so small has almost nothing to do with burgers. It's about something most people have never heard of. To really get it, we have to go back to the very beginning, because McDonald's almost went broke, and the thing that saved it wasn't food. It was a total secret about how the business actually worked. McDonald's didn't start as a giant company. It started in 1940 as one small restaurant in San Bernardino, California, run by two brothers, Richard and Morris McDonald. Everyone called them Dick and Mac. At first, their restaurant was slow, just like every other restaurant back then. So in 1948, they tried something new. They cut their menu down to almost nothing, just burgers, fries, and milkshakes, and figured out how to make food incredibly fast, almost like a little factory. They called it the Speedy Service System. It worked. Customers loved it. The brothers were doing so well that they were personally making about $100,000 a year, which at the time was a huge amount of money. They were happy. They weren't trying to take over the world. They just had one really good restaurant. Then, in 1954, a traveling salesman showed up to sell them a milkshake machine. His name was Ray Kroc, and he was about to change everything. Ray Kroc looked at that one restaurant and saw something huge, a system that could work in every town in America. He convinced the brothers to let him find new franchise partners and open McDonald's restaurants everywhere else. Here's the deal they made. For every new restaurant, Kroc would get a small slice of the sales, less than 2 cents for every dollar. And out of that tiny slice, he had to give some back to the McDonald brothers too. So Kroc opened restaurant after restaurant and barely made any money doing it. His own restaurants were only keeping about 1 cent of profit for every dollar in sales. He was going into debt, just trying to keep the company alive. That's when someone gave him an idea that changed everything. A financial advisor named Harry Sonborn sat Kroc down and told him something simple but shocking. You're not in the hamburger business, you're in the real estate business. Here's what that means, in the simplest way possible. Imagine you own an empty piece of land. Instead of building something on it yourself, you let someone else build a McDonald's there, but they have to pay you rent every single month. Doesn't matter if they sell 100 burgers or 100,000 burgers, you get paid either way. So that's exactly what Kroc did. His company started buying up land and buildings, then leasing them to the franchise owners, often charging even more than what it cost to lease the land in the first place. Now, instead of earning pennies from burger sales, Kroc's company was earning steady rent every single month from every single store. This one idea is why McDonald's survived, and it's still true today. Right now, McDonald's owns or controls the land under thousands of its restaurants. That real estate is worth tens of billions of dollars, and it makes up roughly a third of the entire company's revenue. Think about that. A company famous for burgers actually earns a huge chunk of its money just from owning land. By 1961, Kroc wanted full control. He offered to buy the McDonald brothers out completely for $2.7 million in cash. They agreed. But there was a catch. The deal didn't include the rights to their very first restaurant back in San Bernardino, so the brothers kept running that one original store. They renamed it the Big M. Kroc's response? He opened a brand new McDonald's just 1 block away. The original restaurant couldn't compete and eventually closed. The two men who actually invented the whole idea ended up pushed completely out of the company that carried their name. From there, McDonald's exploded. Today, it's one of the largest restaurant companies on earth, with tens of thousands of locations across more than 100 countries. It's also one of the biggest private employers in the world. And remember that real estate trick from Harry Sonborn? It's still the engine underneath everything. McDonald's real estate holdings are worth tens of billions of dollars on paper, making up almost all of the company's assets. Burgers built the brand. Real estate built the fortune. Now, we can finally answer the real question. If you want to own a McDonald's today, you'll need to invest somewhere between $1 million and $2.3 million, plus pay a $45,000 franchise fee. Once you're running the store, you don't just pay McDonald's a small royalty on your sales. You also pay them rent, since in most cases, McDonald's owns the land and the building. That rent is often the biggest single expense a franchise owner has. So even if your restaurant does $3 million in sales this year, a huge chunk of that goes straight to McDonald's corporate before you even get to pay your staff, your food costs, and everything else. What's left over after all of that is usually that $150,000 a year we mentioned at the start. So here's the real story. McDonald's isn't really a burger company. It's one of the biggest landlords on the planet that happens to also sell burgers. And the reason a busy McDonald's owner doesn't get rich off $3 million in sales is simple. Most of that money was never really theirs to keep. It belongs to the landlord. And the landlord is McDonald's itself. Did you know McDonald's makes that much money from real estate? Or did you think it was all about the burgers? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more real stories like this, how big brands actually make their money, subscribe, because there's a lot more where this came from.